Hi everyone, Eric Nelson here once again, and thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. For today, I am back with another book review on Fiza Pathan's Amina, the Silent One. Now, as an American, I am fully aware of the discrimination that occurs outside of America. But because I haven't visited other portions of the world, I really haven't seen it up close or live in person, I should say. Now, the only reason why I am fully aware of the discrimination outside of America is because I would learn about it in high school or my elementary edu- education, but because I really wasn't that great at paying any close uh, attention. It just really didn't sink in. And I do apologize, but I am having a really bad moment of my speech problems. So, if anybody has a problem understanding me, if you can just leave any any comment in the comment box, and I will correct any mishaps of my speech. But anyway, this book is has an original piece of literature, but at the same time, it's surrounded by his his I'm sorry his historical fact as well as present fact, only because I fully believe that no matter what happens, no matter how many laws are actually made, I really personally believe, unfortunately, that discrimination will never leave any sort of society. But in Amina's position, she is actually born into a family that already has female children. But because the father and mother long for a son, they not only want to leave her, they actually refuse to name her. But then when the father and mother bring her to his mentor, he actually only so that they can receive some advice on how to abandon her. He actually refuses to help them, and he says, okay, you really need to not only love her but to educate her, because he believes, and they actually reluctantly agree with him, that education can help anyone. But then he really becomes upset when he realizes that the father and mother haven't even named her. So that is when she finally receives her name, Amina. And then the author takes us on a quest as she goes through her childhood and her adolescent years, as well as her young uh, adult years. And believe me, she really does become part of the women's suffrage in I'm so sorry, in India. And not only because she's a woman, but because and she has a real low and I'm so sorry, gentle soul. But then things begin to look up a little bit when she's married to what seems to be a much older and wiser man by the name of Iqbal. But then, but however, it is an arranged marriage, and then he also forces her to become a hooker. However, as she goes through her young years and her young uh, adult years, she actually uses something for her own personal pleasure that aids her in going through this horrible suffrage, and that is music. Now, with that being said, you can sort of see that somebody who is always being pushed into suffrage and being laughed at and being haunted to, and discriminated against, that they would use their own personal pleasure for something that could possibly help them into having a much better future. But this is real. I mean, it's not real life, but only, it is a fictional. It is a. I'm so sorry. It's a fictional book, but the surroundings around it are real. So once we learn about her passion for music, I mean, at least in my own personal experience with this, I'm sorry, with my own personal experience of this novel, I sort of made the educated assumption that she would become like a real symbol in this country, and uses her passion for music to become a great singer and to help others in her same situation to rise up above what society has given them. But was my assumption right? Will she rise up from the horrible women's suffrage, or will she not? Well, here's where I leave off, and here's where all of you readers should decide for yourselves on what actually happens by actually reading it. Now, even though this has a lot of sad scenes and a lot of violence and sexual harassment, I do believe that Fiza really has done a masterful I'm so sorry, a masterful job at creating such not just a sad novel, but she just surrounds it with such great facts. So you can get this book anywhere, and I hope to see you all at the bookstore or the iBookstore.